Today we are going to talk about the absolute saddest scene ever on Gomer Pyle USMC, and here's the thing. It was a scene that TV viewers saw every week. So what am I talking about? Well, give me just a couple of minutes and I'll share more. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Dave Sundstrom. I like to think of myself as something of a pop culture historian. I love talking about music, movies, and mostly TV from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. So with that said, let's talk more about the saddest scene on the Gomer Pyle USMC television show. But before I get into all that, let's talk about the TV show for a moment. Gomer Pyle USMC, which starred Jim Nabors and Frank Sutton, was a huge hit for CBS and would run for a total of 5 seasons in all, 1964 to 1969. To lend some level of authenticity to the series, some of the scenes from the show, including the opening sequence, were filmed at the Marine Corps Recruiting Depot in San Diego, California, and many actual Marines were visible in those scenes. Talking about that opening sequence, this was a scene that was filmed with actual servicemen. The music is upbeat, and that opening sequence is meant to kind of establish the show as lighthearted, when it's juxtaposed against what was actually happening at the time that the show was airing in the United States. We had the Vietnam conflict, and many of these Marines ended up serving over in Vietnam and having tours of duty, and some of them didn't return home. As soldiers came home and started watching the show, particularly in reruns, that scene became very difficult. It was difficult to watch the show for the reason that it ignored reality, and much like the Andy Griffith Show that it was spun off from, it's a fantasy. It's not real. I thought I would share that as I had a recent comment on one of my other Jim Nabors videos where one of the YouTubers had mentioned that his father had had a difficult time watching Gomer Pyle USMC because he had known some of those soldiers. One more thing. Frank Sutton, who played Sergeant Carter on the show, could not pass the U.S. Marine Corps physical during World War II and ended up serving in the Army. During his service, he distinguished himself by taking part in 14 different assault landings. If you're ever in Clarksville, Tennessee, Sutton's hometown, head on down to Franklin Street to get your picture taken with this eternally exasperated feller. So that's it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video or you found it at the very least interesting, I'd appreciate a thumbs up and maybe even consider subscribing to the channel. I talk about all the oldies, the good stuff, music, movies, and mostly TV from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. But most importantly, thank you so much for watching.